But I do want to talk San Jacinto College, especially the area that I work in, and Dr. Iguana with the South Campus. We've had quite a bit of construction going on, both new construction and renovation. One thing that we're blessed in this region with, if you can see on this slide right here, is these are the community colleges. We have 9 community colleges in this region, San Jacinto College being one of them, the purple there. And then if you kind of see, those are the areas along the ship channel that we service. As far north is just about Summerwood, where we'll be opening up our newest campus in the fall. Pasadena, Deer Park, LaPorte, where the central campus is, Channelview, Sheldon, kind of area where North Campus is. And then South Campus, where I work at, which services parts of Pasadena ISD and Pearland. San Jacinto College, just some real quick facts about us. We at least last fall had 32,000, over 32,000 unduplicated. When you start duplicating the students, going them from different campuses, we're probably closer to 36,000. On South Campus, we have about 12,500 students on this campus. We currently, like I said, have 4 instructional campuses open, the North, South, Central, and the Maritime campus over on the Ship Channel, and then Generation Park will be opening up this fall, which should be quite interesting. Some other things you may be interested in that we have about 5,700, over 5,700 students that are 17 or under. And that'll tell you a lot about the explosion all community colleges have had with what's called early college, high school, and dual credit. That's about 17% of our student population, 17 and under. You kind of see the dual credit graduates last commencement or last May was almost 500. High school students graduated with an associate's degree before they received their high school diploma. That'll probably be much higher this year. Unfortunately, we had to postpone commencement from May until August 7th. So we're hoping we can still have commencement August 7th. Some other interesting facts that I think you might be interested in, because these are shared with my colleagues at other community colleges, and that is part-time students. We handle about over 70% part-time students. You can kind of see some other information there. I thought this was kind of interesting. Our gender percentages, we have about a little over 58% female, 41% male. Degrees and certificates last year, we were a little over 7,700 awards, which about 60% were associates, and almost 40% were certificate programs. So what I'm going to take y'all on is we have quite a bit of construction. Thank God it's over with, well, for the most part over on South Campus, but it's part of a bond that we were fortunate enough for our community to pass. It was a $425 million bond last November in 2015. And what I'm going to take you on is some of the highlights over on South Campus, off Beamer, where I work at. And those highlights of that bond that occurred here, we put up a new building called an engineering technology that we'll take a tour of, cosmetology center that we'll also take a tour of, air conditioning technology renovation that we'll tour. We also renovating, or we're actually still renovating some rooms in buildings 7 and 8. And this has been quite interesting. If y'all can imagine doing renovation work while we're still holding classes, it is probably it's the equivalent of working on your car as you're driving down the highway 70 miles an hour. It is truly amazing how this works. I wish you could see it in person, how we divide up the hallways to do that. And then we just brought on 2 more early college high schools this last fall, which was Novi and South Houston, to go with Clear Horizons, who's been on campus. So those renovations occurred in those buildings, and along with all the kind of a lot of people you don't see, but it's very important to anybody. There's a lot of infrastructure needed to be renovated here, both in electrical, sewage, energy, and things like that. So here's a quick map of South Campus. If you look on your screen to your far left, you'll see Beamer Road. I'm going to take you on a tour on some of these, the cosmetology, engineering and technology building, and the HVAC center. You can kind of see we're kind of what I think it's a large campus, but it's certainly not large as Central Campus. If you have any questions, please just ask them at any time. So let's start our tour. And this would be the engineering and technology building. It's really it's where I'm sitting this morning, one person in 74,000 square feet. And you can kind of see a drone picture of it. And then there's an artist rendering of it. This is really a nice building. This building we really got teased with this building because we moved in it 2 weeks prior to spring break. All my programs and all my staff, we moved in for 2 weeks, took a spring break, and no one's been back since, including students. And that would have been about March 6th. So the last people that were in the brand new building was March 6th. So we've got this brand new structure ready to go and nobody to enjoy it right now. But in this building, here's some of the programs that we have. In this building, we have a biomedical equipment repair technology program in here. Of course, we put in an X-ray and CT scanning room for them to use along with labs. Computer information technology programs in here, which is cybersecurity program, applications programming, a simulation game design program that I have. It's really doing a lot of work in VR and AR, web development and design pathway, and then of course one that all businesses use, and that's the desktop support, network administration. In this building, we also have what I call the academic transfer, computer science classes. We have the pre-engineering or engineering, which is an academic transfer program to a 4-year university. And then the last group that we have in here is an engineering design graphics. And of that group, there's 3 different pathways that they train students on: a mechanical pathway, a petro-industrial pathway, and a civil and structural pathway. And then we were lucky enough to build or incorporate into this building a creation space, which is called a maker space. It's probably about a 4,000 or 5,000 foot space. It has in it a 3D printing lab, a wood shop, metal shop, and then of course it has creation spaces for 36 students. And when you enter the building, you kind of see this when you look at it. You enter into a big foyer and right into the maker space. And you kind of see that. Again, I apologize that I was the one taking the pictures because there's probably glares and things like that, but hopefully you can make out. This is a picture of that maker space right here. There's a picture from the downstairs look into the maker space, and then the maker space is all glass around it. So if you're on the second floor in your classes and walking on the catwalk up there, you can kind of see down into the maker space. The idea here is to have students watch other students create things and watch innovation at the same time. Right now, when you're looking at this, it looks, believe it or not, I will tell y'all there's not much in this maker space. Unfortunately, when you look at these pictures, you're going, I don't know what he's talking about. There looks like there's stuff everywhere. Well, what happened was during the pandemic, we brought all of our 3D printers into the maker space from all over the district. And for about 2.5 weeks, we were manufacturing face shields and providing them to area hospitals, of course, also the college. And we did that for 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, going about 350 face shields a day. But right now, so many, I guess, manufacturing's come online, the demand's not there. So we've not been making them over the last 4 days. But if you look down there now, typically a classroom or creation space with lab tables in it. Right now, it's just kind of occupied by about 16 3D printers that'll be moving. And they'll be moving back into the space right here as you kind of walk right next to the maker space or a door in the maker space. And, let me go back. I hope you can see this. I know the pictures aren't that good, but when you're looking into the maker space, if you look in kind of the second floor picture, the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see some doors. You'll see kind of a covered patio out in the back where there'll be welding booths. Door down inside, far right is the wood shop. Right next to it as a storage area, and then the next one by kind of the eye wash station where you see somebody standing, that's the wood shop right there. And right next to that is a sink, and that is a door that goes into this 3D maker, 3D print lab. And that's where all the 3D printers will reside when we kind of move them back to their home. And there's a picture there of one of my faculty. We had some faculty students volunteer to make these face shields. And they made quite a few of them. They were making about 300 a day for, I think, 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. And you can kind of see 3D printing. I'm sure most of y'all are familiar. I think, I don't think very long, you're going to probably see everybody have a 3D printer in their house. Probably print stuff that you typically would go out and buy. And, I know manufacturers are using this a lot. You can kind of see the various things we've made. One interesting thing in there, and again, I apologize, these pictures I'm sure are small on your computer, but you kind of notice in the display case, those are items that we 3D manufactured. But there's a emergency kit there that we sent all the designs to, I think, third world countries where they can't necessarily get medical supplies. They could actually 3D, if they have a 3D printer, they can actually print those medical equipment. That was a student project that was very interesting.
Hey, Kevin, this is Ann. I have a question for you. So do you have businesses that come to you to saying, hey, would you, do you have students that can work or design this for me or for that for me? So are you working with industries in that way, or is it strictly like student projects of what they're doing?
Typically right now it's student projects, although we have done part of, and I'm trying to think, NASA runs a program where they have entrepreneurs that are trying to design things, and they put a proposal out for anybody to help. We occasionally work with that with students. Right now, this is the first time we've ever incorporated a makerspace and all these kind of robust tools that students can make their prototyping come to life. So that is something we're looking to do in the future, partner with some businesses and try to help both the businesses and our students get some real world application. I mean, it's one thing to design on a CAD, CAD program, but it's another thing to then go down, print the prototype, and, for somebody that needs to get feedback on it and modify that prototype. So that's what we hope to begin in the future.
Okay.
As you see all this stuff, we've only had 2 weeks in here and we've not even got into this part yet. In fact, I've still got a bunch of boxes around here. You can imagine that. We've not even really moved in, but you can just imagine the excitement of the students, at least 2 weeks of excitement with students and faculty. This is a space upstairs that we're really like. We're referring to it as a thinker space. This is a collaboration room where you put teams. We're trying to use this we use it for our AR and VR work, as well as our cross-departmental teams. We put in here project management where they can design in here various groups, whether I have my computer science students in here with the engineering students and engineering design students working on a project, trying to simulate a work environment and continually teach some of those what we call employable skills that many students lack, like communication skills, computation skills sometimes, and teamwork skills, personal responsibility. And that's where a lot of that will take place in here with these projects. Upstairs also, I have 5 computer labs. I just showed you a couple right here. This is the one on the left is my cybersecurity computer lab. And you'll see garbage bags over computers because that is how right now we're having to social distance with our computer labs. We're under altered operations right now, at least at all of our campus. We're bringing what we call a pilot group of students back to try to finish some applied labs during the spring semester. And this is a pilot program, small groups with social distancing, and we're trying to make sure with mask, social distancing, and then sanitization. We've got a lot of crews coming in to wipe down surfaces all the time. We're trying to at least pilot what this is going to take to bring students back in to our labs and classrooms. And starting June 1st, we're going to even bring more students, provided this week goes good. We're going to go this week, Monday through Friday, with bringing these pilot groups in. And then we'll debrief about what we can do better and things like that, along with getting the student survey and student feedback about how their experience was, how they felt with the security measures, the safety measures, and things like that. But I'm not sure what the new normal is going to look like, but if you'd like to see what it looks like a little bit in the computer lab, it's going to kind of look like that. We bagged every other station. And I showed you there, you kind of might be wondering, what's that plug going in the middle of the picture? That's in my cybersecurity lab where they learn how to do things that are, I don't want to necessarily call them illegal because we don't do anything legal. We only do ethical hacking. But when they do things like that, you'll see that little picture there of that's our network. And you could just imagine teaching in a hacking classes when you have computers hooked up to your network, when you have an IT group that is anti-hacking. So we have a second port down there that pulls all these computers off the network so they can work in an environment that does not cause all my IT people to run down to this room and find out who's doing what. So it's very interesting lab that we have in the cybersecurity. This is a hardware lab. Not a lot to look at, but we still do take computers apart and fix them also. This is an example of our design labs. I've got 7 design labs. I have a CAD lab that you'll see on the left, which most of y'all would say that just looks like a computer lab, and you'd be right. It's just a computer lab, but it all has high-end machines in it. And then the one on the right is what we call a dual lab. That's both has CAD and what we call manual boards, where they still learn the art of drawing, spacing, geometric shapes, and things like that, while they're also looking at it on a computer model or aided model. That too also has some bags on it. That'll show you that's how we're going to have to, what was once a 24-person computer lab currently was about a 12-person computer lab. So it's going to kind of change the way we do business going forward, like it is many of y'all also. Also, I have the engineering. Not a lot to look at, but we went on so many best practice visits to try to design these spaces, but all of our utilities are in the ceiling for these labs, and nothing on the floor to plug into. This is just an engineering lab. Everything on these labs that you see are on wheels so they can move around, change the configuration, utilities in the air so you can still work. And then also in a lot of our spaces, we're just putting this up now, so I'll show you a few. You'll see a white wall, but we're also putting up experiential graphics. And this is the big log graphic that we have down by the engineering lab. And this is really, you'll see it acrylic. It's not up yet because we're still getting it made, but there'll be a little acrylic sign going up explaining about engineering and what dynamics are and statics are and how that works. It holds up bridges like this. This is the Fred Hartman Bridge going over, just to try to get people to understand kind of a little experiential learning environment outside of the classroom for people that might be in the hallway. This is an example of the biomedical equipment repair program. This is kind of an interesting occupation. This is fortunate. I think, no, U.S. News wrote an article about the top jobs in the U.S. that nobody knows about. This was number 4 in that article, and that's biomedical equipment repair. This is technicians that work in hospital clinics, and they repair the equipment, calibrate the equipment, inventory the equipment, all the medical equipment that is used. So we have 2 labs, as you see on the far left, that look like that. That's our kind of hands-on applied labs, along with a bunch of medical equipment, used medical equipment. And they work on that troubleshooting, as well as network operations, things like that in a hospital setting. We also have, well, not a lot to see because we're trying to put it together. But we have an emergency room, so we can simulate that, and some equipment in the emergency room, and having students fix it when things need to be fixed quite fast. And then one thing we're real proud of, you notice I have the door closed because if you walk through that door, you would see an empty room. But we also have another room that's a lead wall right there, and that's an X-ray room behind. There'll be an X-ray machine in there and a CT scan machine in there, or equipment in there, all operational. Right now it's an empty room because I'm still hunting some used equipment. That as soon as we get back in the building, and I can kind of at least have people come in and see this, we're going to be looking to use. Hopefully, there's hospitals that will be, replacing their old equipment for new, and that's what I'm looking to acquire: their old equipment, put in their small X-ray machine and CT scan, so our students can learn their courses on MRI, CT, X-ray, how to repair some of those in a live environment.
Can
Yes.
they can they repair ventilators? Because after this is over with, they're going to be stockpiling everything again, so they'll probably have to go through every bit of equipment that's in use right now.
Yeah, no, I would say yes. Right now, my professor that handles this program does a lot of work with Project Cure. You probably saw them on some of the news conferences, but we do a lot of work with Project Cure. Now, that was Project Cure sent a lot of the medical equipment. We repair it for our students, and then they would send it outside of the country. But here over the last month or two, Project Cure has been doing a lot of work with just repairing equipment for use here in the United States. So yeah, I think that we've not had a problem in acquiring the donations for used medical equipment, because that's why I say it doesn't work real well for us to get new medical equipment and then start tearing it up. So luckily we're in Houston, Texas, the medical center or health capital of the world. So there's a lot of different medical equipment. We have so many kind partners around to provide us with a lot of used equipment.
This is actually one of this program has become real popular with all of our healthcare programs because we have their students come out and repair a lot of our medical equipment for our health science programs, and they do preventative maintenance, repair equipment, and so this program has actually saved the college thousands of dollars in having to go and outsource and come in and either buy new equipment or have to get somebody in to repair equipment. So they come with their students and they come repair our equipment and do a lot of preventative maintenance for us on our health science program equipment.
The one thing that was incorporated in this building, we have a lot of what I call student gathering areas. And the idea is for students to not get in their cars and go home, but collaborate with other students about their studies. And we're in the process of putting up a lot of nice, what I would call experiential design for graphics, but they're done in such a way to you can kind of see one right there. I know the picture's real small, but that's I think a picture of an MRI machine. Of course, it's in pastels, so and you can kind of see that's actually a student gathering area right there. Unfortunately, right now we have all of the student gathering areas. We're moving them so people can't gather. As bad as that sounds. because we just can't, social distancing right now is kind of a trick that you can't try to get too many students. And then you have a big room like this, part also of the student gathering. We tried to uncover some of the engineering parts of the building. You'll see that it's kind of like some pores or, circle with things, airplane propeller. That's actually some engineered beams that are holding the building up that we've uncovered. And that's kind of showing that using that as experiential learning also. If you kind of look out that window, there's a beautiful view. By the way, that's Dr. Oquana's building over there. That's Health and Natural Science building on South Campus. This whole area is what is turning into the campus, what we call our STEM campus, where we'll handle all of the science, technology, engineering, math classes in these two buildings. And then you have a building a gathering area right there. That's a big white wall right there. Unfortunately, if you come back next week, there'll be a big eye and a computer, kind of a Tron-looking graphic on that whole wall that will talk about computer information technology. It's just areas that we hope that someday, when we can gather students, that they'll stay at campus, which many of us at colleges, community colleges, try to do is not, have students come to class and then immediately after class hop in the car and leave. In other words, start to communicate with others and work in groups and things like that. And then for some of you that maybe like me and believe that classrooms are, hey, what happened to your traditional classroom? Well, this is as traditional as we get. I've got 7 classrooms in this building, and it's kind of a little different than maybe the classroom that you were in when you took classes. They're very open. I don't have nobody who's taught in these yet, so I don't know how hard it's going to be to talk with having all glass walls in the classroom. But they are very nice, 3-sided whiteboards in the rooms to make sure that students can also participate. We do a lot about trying to get away from the sage on the stage, lecture to your students type of learning environment, and do much more engaged learning activities, and basically have the student take more part, an active role in their learning. And then I give you this. Of course, everybody needs to see. It's just one of my favorite pictures. And me not being a professional photographer, I can't do it justice. But if you're on the end of the building where the makerspace is on the second floor, not only can you look in the makerspace, but you have this huge wall of glass where you can look over and see the whole campus. It's really a beautiful picture. I love the picture. You'll see the Y-beams there exposed, holding up the building to kind of, show some of the engineered features of the building. And then what you're looking at, that large wall of glass, it's called sage glass. I don't know if you're familiar with sage glass. I tend to refer to it as magic glass. But each one of those glass panels have an electric current in it, and we can dial back. Right now it's on automatic, but as the sun starts coming in, they start getting darker and darker and darker to lessen the impact of the sun coming in them. So they do, obviously as soon as the sun starts setting over there in the west, they get much darker to keep down the light coming into the building. Really a nice feature. I guess if I ever occupy this long enough to learn how to do it, you can actually change the panels to spell words and things like that. I guess you can get quite creative if you have to. And then I show you this break room, not to see the break room part, but right behind it's the only picture I have. But behind those refrigerators right there is a faculty, part-time or adjunct faculty workroom. And then right where you see those big doors, I have 3 what we call, those are where faculty can go in. They're huddle rooms where they can meet, private little rooms. They can meet with their students and either tutor or have a conference, things like that. They're open also on the other side of the hallway in some of those rooms. Any questions about the engineering center? Well, if you could just imagine yourself walking across campus right now, it's not hot over here right now, so you're not sweating as you imagine yourself walking. We're walking over to the cosmetology center. This is over on the other side of the campus. And y'all do walk fast. I do appreciate y'all walking so fast. Here's the cosmetology center right here. It's kind of a U-shaped building with a courtyard in the middle. Salons on the right side, faculty office right there, and then all the learning labs kind of make a U-shape around. In our cosmetology center, these are the programs that we're running over there. It's an operator. And boy, I'll tell you what, as y'all can tell, I don't probably use haircutting services as often as I probably should, but you want to talk about an essential business. I think it took the governor a little bit. Obviously, he must have got a lot of phone calls because all of a sudden cosmetology became an essential business quite quickly after, I think, after he received a lot of phone calls. And this is actually where we're doing one of our pilots is bringing some of those students back on. But the programs we have in this building is a typical operator program. We have an instructor program. We just started a year ago an aesthetics program that is just growing a phenomenal growth in 1 year. We also have a nail program that we'll be starting in the fall. We're bringing over massage therapy from Central Campus is relocating. They'll have 2 massage rooms and embedded classrooms. We just completed what we call a barber crossover. This is a lot of hairdressers, cosmeticians really are interested in barbering. It's a 300-hour course. If you do have a cosmetology operator license, you can take to come and get the barber's license. We'll be starting that, I hope, a year from, next fall 2021. We also house eyelash extensions, and then we have a salon and spa in the building to help them get those types of really workplace experiences that you need. This is a picture, kind of the middle of that U that y'all walked up to. This is the courtyard, and this is an area where the students can kind of go out and get fresh air. You got to realize many of these students come to us at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they leave at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 days, 4 to 5 days a week. So there are places where they do need to kind of get fresh air away from each other. And we got some twig benches out there, artificial turf, really trying to get them the environment where you can kind of get some fresh air. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you really want a lot of fresh air in Houston, Texas in June, July, and August, but we'll see how it works on that. We do have some big fans out there. I would tell you the name of it, but they're big A fans. You kind of barely see them right there, but we hope to push a little bit of breeze in there during the summer months. I have 5 labs, cosmetology labs in there. This is kind of a picture of it. Each one of these stations, right now, we're running these social distancing on that. We're running a student every other station. So, these are 24 student stations. And now, under the current environment, they've been cut down to 12 student stations. Really a beautiful environment in here. The picture I took certainly doesn't do it justice. And then each one of these rooms, if you look on the right photo, you'll see a podium there. There's a camera up in the ceiling. Then you have TVs around there. So when the instructor is demonstrating haircuts or coloring or any type of technique, it goes on the big screen right there along with camera or TVs on the wall so students can watch the instructor without having to gather right around the person. You can kind of see it when the camera's on and kind of focus down there. It's kind of really hard to see. But really some just state-of-the-art, I think, teaching tools that we'll have. No cosmetology center is complete without a mani-pedi lab. It's kind of, we've had to move everything. You'll notice there's a lot of chairs on top of stuff, and the pedi seats are down. We've had to move them because we're really limited to how many students we can have in this. But when it's open, you'll see all those going across there. We have probably about, I think in all the rooms, probably the ability to do 12 to 15 pedicures, and then the nail stations over there is probably 12 to 15 nail stations that roll around. And then as you keep winding around there, this is our salon that we have in there. So if you get to a level 3, we have level 1 beginning students, level 2 intermediate students, level 3 students are ready to graduate and become licensed. Level 2 and 3 typically work on clients. Right now, as y'all can imagine, we're not accepting clients right now. I'm not sure when we will. It'll probably be the fall. But when we do, they're going to be coming to a brand new, never used yet, salon waiting area. And then right behind this is where the aesthetics lab, hairdressing lab, and massage therapy labs are. So we'll be able to come over here and get any types of cuts and color, facials, peels, more stuff than I can probably tell y'all. And then, of course, the massage therapy area for different types of massages. And this is a picture of the aesthetics lab. We have both aesthetic, the individual beds. You'll see the curtains there where you can get privacy, as well as makeup labs in the middle, as well as an embedded classroom in there to teach. So this is why it's also a really nice applied lab. It has embedded classrooms to teach techniques and fundamentals and theory and all. And there's a beautiful picture of my massage lab. This is what happens when you move during a pandemic. You just get everything brought over and stuck in the corner. But if y'all could imagine in your mind, since y'all have done such a good job on this virtual tour, each one of those areas will have a massage bed on it in privacy area. It'll house 12 beds. There's 2 labs like that. And then in the middle of it's an embedded classroom between the 2 massage therapy labs. So we hope to have that up and running by fall, hopefully by August at the latest. Okay, so hopefully you got enough air conditioning. Now we're going to walk to the middle of campus, and we're walking right back toward the middle, and you're going to walk over to, this is a renovation project we just did, and we just opened it up about 2 months prior to the pandemic. This is our air conditioning technology building. It is really nice. We do a air conditioning technology program here. It's called residential, but primarily we focus on residential, light commercial, refrigeration. It is about a probably 10,000 foot area between outside and inside. And you'll notice we have the residential lab where you'll see condensers. If you look, it's very hard to see. Trainer on the left. If you kind of look at all those machines past those compressors, you'll kind of see those are furnaces. And over on the right hand side, an air handler is right there, the tall things that kind of go up in the air straight up. And they're connected to the compressors, which are right through that wall. And as you go through that wall, you go to that outside photo. That's where they're connected. We have stations to do about 15 different types, both commercial and residential compressors outside. There's also a brazing station outside under that huge covered patio that we're in the city of Houston. So if you look at that covered patio, that thing can sustain, it can take up to 300-mile-an-hour wind. So you can imagine how cheap it is to build something like that. So while the building won't be there probably at 300-mile-an-hour winds, my patio will be. I hope we never see what that looks like. If you look in this big space, you'll notice these are big space right there. It's a little difficult to see, but as you kind of look past the wood and the wood benches, you'll see some kind of package units right there, rooftop units, where we teach our light commercial classes. And then if you look in the picture on the right, there's ice machines, trainers, big deep freeze, walk-in cooler, walk-in freezer, where we teach the refrigeration aspect to HVAC. And that's the one thing that I think all of y'all also are familiar with. Houston, Texas, there's only one thing you have to have, and that's definitely air conditioning in the summer. And we're finding out there's a big demand for refrigeration, especially when you stock at grocery stores, things like that. They can't afford to have coolers go down or. This is kind of a picture. Apologize again for my picture taking, but this is the electrical lab. We have one classroom embedded in that big open space that you see, and that's where we handle a lot of the electrical, both the basic electrical class as well as a advanced electrical class. And then something we're really proud of, and this is our attic simulator. So within our space, we built this trainer. And again, in order to build a code, it got a lot more structurally secure. But basically, we had to build an attic. And this is one nice attic. You kind of see it looks like a little tree house, so to speak. But that's an attic out there with the rafters on top. So you see kind of a yellow ladder that was required. That's an emergency ladder. Nobody should be going down that unless it's emergency. And you'll see kind of a little silver thing that's dropped down. I've got 2 drop down stairs. So that attic set up where I can have groups. They're going to learn how to install AC heating units and air handlers in an attic while they have to bend down and make sure they don't fall through somebody's ceiling. If you'll notice right there, there's some plywood, and that's where they'll set the units. This is 1/2 side of it. Unfortunately, due to the safety requirements, I was not allowed to let them step through your ceiling, so we had to put some safety requirements. So I think in your attic, you probably don't have all that steel grading, so if somebody steps off of it, they won't necessarily go down to the floor. But this is really going to help them simulate what it's like to really do true workplace environment. You have to work, taking equipment up in the attic stairs, bending over and not standing up straight, things like that. Install things like that. And before I let you get out of the air conditioning, that is all I have for the virtual tour. Are there any questions you might have? I appreciate all y'all walking fast and staying up with this tour.
I like the contemporary, very wide open spaces of everything. It's just a lot of air. It looks like you wouldn't have to do any kind of social distancing already.
Yeah, well, we hope to have a lot of students in here, and that's kind of the problem. We're finding out this is rightfully so. This has scared a lot of people. It doesn't matter if you're a faculty, a staff, administrator, a student, or just the general public. Everybody's rather uncertain about what they should do or can do. And we're very interested to try to find out. We're trying to get back to some kind of normal about bringing students back to campus. We're just kind of unsure, A, what that looks like. We're working on that. And B, what students are thinking about returning to campus. I know there's a lot of educators, my colleagues in this area. I know we're wrestling with that because we can come up with all these plans about what we're going to do to make it safe. Mm. We just don't know what students, what their mindset is about all this coming back.
That's the same way it is with the chamber and our events. You can plan it and you don't know who's coming.
So Kevin, question for you. I know in pre-pandemic that the public could come to the cosmetology and get all these wonderful services done. So do you foresee that as far as when students come back of opening that back up right away, or kind of feeling your way and getting kind of back into the groove before you start accepting public people coming in?
We're going to get it up and running as soon as we can, because one thing, we can teach the theory, the practical side, but they really need to learn how to interact with consumers and people. That's the part of the learning that we really need to simulate, and we really need to simulate it quite quickly. So we're open. Usually we open up the salon 2 weeks after the semester starts.
Oh, okay.
That was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm learning all these new rules now with, what post-pandemic might be. Yeah, Ed?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. That was a great tour. It's a really fabulous facility you guys have there. For a lot of the craft workers and trades, it looks like you guys are doing a good job with simulating the environment and preparing the employee. I guess a question, or maybe you touched on it, I missed it, is what kind of partnerships are you able to do with businesses to, like a lot of students work while they're still in college, mostly because it's just to get through college. That was the way it was for me, and having part-time jobs. So I guess there's a couple things. Is a lot of things we've learned, that we can remotely work. So do we have workspace for kids, or students, I should say, there to work? You got the collaboration space for students to mix them with each other, but can they also have study space or workspace where they can work remotely with their employers if they do that? And then what kind of partnerships are you looking for from businesses to where maybe they're doing their co-op with the kids, or getting them in, because sometimes kids work in a completely different industry while they're going through college because they don't know how to get a job with an employer.
Right. And thank you for asking this question, because I've got a lot of different answers for you. Number one, in all of our, what we call our career and technical education programs, every one of them are required to have what we call an industry or community advisory committee made up of employers in that area. And that is who we vet our curriculum through, our books, our equipment, training methods, all that we vet through our advisory. So we get the advice from all these partners. Now, along with these partners, what also they give us is we do what we call employer meetups. It used to be something called like career fair. We found out, at least in career and technical education, that doesn't work well. We just have a general career fair. So what we do, we call it employer meetup. So what we try to do with all of our career technical education is we have really smaller type of employer meetups. For instance, in HVAC, what we'll do is oftentimes invite 6 employers to come in and speak to our night classes, because our goal with our workforce programs is to get the students working as soon as possible. I mean, it is great for them to get a certificate. We have certificate programs of what I'll call off-ramp, quick. While we'd love everybody to get a 2-year degree, it's not required to get a job with a 2-year degree. So we have what we call off-ramps, or what we call short-term certificates off those 2-year degrees, where a student can get a certain set of skills or knowledge, and then go to work. And then we try to have either what we call a blended environment, where it's online, and some things don't work. The applied labs are very hard to put online. But we can put the theory part online. And then we try to do a lot of our upper level classes, so to speak, that lead to the 2-year degree at nighttime, because we hope to, ideally, we can train the student, they get a job as quick as they need to, start making a family wage. And then if they and their employer, ideally we train them such that their employer gets involved in this and says, hey, they do offer these classes at night, maybe you want to come back a couple nights or so, and keep pursuing your education, get out of that hot attic and become a technician, a troubleshooter, and things like that. And those are with all of our workforce programs. So we really rely heavily on, to be honest with you, we relied heavily on advisory committees in the design of these buildings when we put them together, along with best practice visits. We also asked our advisory committee members. And along with advisory committee members, we are always looking for more business and industries to be part of our advisory group. So yeah, anybody would love to come out and participate in that. None of them are too full that we can't accept it. Oh, and one other thing, I told you asked a really good question. All of our workforce education programs have what we call an external workplace course in them. It's usually at least one, we call them practicums or internships or co-ops or clinicals. And part of the curriculum is to go to a employer's work site and show those skills, and in the hopes that you will do such a good job. Maybe, the employer can, Zoom meeting. Only person in a 74,000 foot building, I still get in the room. But the idea is we can have students, go out and really apply these things they learned in a classroom or lab into a real work setting, and also have the employer have the ability to kind of what we call test drive an employee. And ideally, if it works well, then that employee oftentimes gets a job off. So I probably answered the question all over the place, but hopefully that it's one of those help out on that. Did you have
Kevin,
something,
I got a
Gary?
general.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got sort of a general question. How do you see the pandemic impacting enrollment? You see that impact in certain departments or just overall?
It's hard to say. Right now, our summer's down about 5%, 5 to 6%,
Okay.
and which doesn't sound bad. We've not been down probably in 5, 6, 7 years. So for us, we were concerned about that. Now, I think our biggest concern about that is we went to a fully online with our academic courses, and we've somewhat limited our technical or workplace programs, both in the number of students we can take and the amount of programs that we can bring students back in the summer. So some of those things I think have affected that enrollment maybe more than the pandemic, just solely because of the pandemic. I think the fall is going to be a bigger indicator. As of now, it's real easy to say this statement, and this is my statement, not my chancellor's statement or the board of trustees or anybody above me. But right now, we have no plans to go fully online in the fall. We kind of plan, we have a schedule based on business as usual. And I can tell you right now, June and July will have a lot to say about that business as usual schedule.
Got it.
Hey, Kevin,
Yeah.
can some of your departments, like your cosmetology department and things like that, can they do continuing education, or is there continuing education required for the people in those fields right now that can come to the college to get their, updated status or current status?
Yeah, what we do is we do what we call link courses with continuing education. We call it CPD here at the college, continuing professional development, which the word that most people know it by is continuing education. There are all of our courses or programs, we link what we call link with CPD. We provide so many seats with CPD, where sometimes the student's not sure if they want to get into a credit program. We can offer sometimes 3 to 5 seats for a continuing education program. And if those people want to come in, they don't get a grade. They still get a grade, but it's not, they get to test the water, so to speak. And then we have some programs that are solely CPD that we run in our credit program. Like I showed y'all at the Cosmetology Center, we have an eyelash extension program that is all CPD. Now we run it in a credit environment, but all those people, many of those students might already have an operator's license. Some may not. They just want to get the certification to do eyelash extension. And if you're interested in that, I think you really got to have good eyesight. My gosh, I've never knew you could separate eyelashes. Obviously, I'm not a candidate for this because I didn't know, you separate eyelashes in 10 eyelash segments. I'm thinking, wow, I don't even know if I can count an eyelash. I'd have to have special glasses or something. But it's very meticulous, and the sanitation with it, and the health is really a unique program. And we have a lot of other ones where we kind of work with what we call non-credit. We blend credit and non-credit in all of our programs. And we have pathways for non-credit programs. We have in many of the community colleges too, we call it credit for prior learning. So if you get an industry certification, or you take a challenge exam or external exam, or you have some continuing ed classes, we can turn those into credit if you decide that you want to go a credit path. Any other questions?
Good job, Kevin. I enjoyed the tour.
Well, thank you. That's actually the first time I've done a virtual tour. I still will invite all of y'all. I will still have the breakfast, and I will still invite y'all to the campus and to look at these buildings, because I can tell you that by no means do my pictures, as bad as they are, do this place justice. It is just such a beautiful environment, and I make it, and I can't overstate this enough. The environment really has a big thing to do with learning, learning, student learning experience. I can tell you, Dr. Aquana, probably 7 years ago or somewhere in that time frame, opened up this huge health science, natural science building, and it is state of the art everything. It's just a beautiful building that I'm sure many of y'all been in. But just when the science classes and the health science classes went into that building, just overnight, literally. And I joked with him about it, but I'm really not joking. Just overnight, all of a sudden, science became cool. And that's what, I think Stacy and them are building some buildings. I think everybody's building buildings. And I think everybody's understanding the importance of that learning experience really motivates students and engages them and keeps them. And these buildings really do that well.
Well, I want to make a comment about the graphics. I think that's a wonderful, excellent idea of making those graphics on the wall. Not only that is an excellent learning opportunity, but also artwork in itself. Whoever thought of that idea, that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, and thinking the idea was easy. Settling on a picture was extremely difficult.
Kevin, what vendor did you use for that signage?
More actually, oh geez, you would ask me the hard question. Telefon is my general contractor. We're using, I had 3 vendors go out. I think it's I forget the name of it, but it's really, they're putting it on it's like wallpaper in a sense, but it's very durable. I have to get the name of the vendor.
I'll just text you the question. You can look it up.
Yeah, and I'll find the name of the vendor, but
Okay.
they've really done a good job. And it's, as far as building speak, I'll qualify this. It was very reasonable. And you can kind of wonder, when you get into type stuff like this, very reasonable has a whole different meaning than maybe, personally versus professionally. But it is a very good way to kind of subliminally teach people about areas that they may never have thought of. We're doing that with the biomed program, is that kind of pastel design, the CIT program with this very large eyeball that's looking down a data field, and then of course the bridge, and then we have one for our engineering design group that shows kind of a CAD CAM type of diagram, the piping and all that, and explains it. I think, like you said, I think it's really the idea behind it just to get people to stop and think about things they otherwise wouldn't have thought about. And then one thing I didn't show you in this, all of our classrooms have small windows to the hallway. And the idea of that is people walking around, if they can peer in and see into these rooms and learning going on, just maybe that kind of, takes them to a place they've never thought about. So just a lot of little details that I couldn't show you on the tour if it went into these buildings.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, I think that.
Thank y'all very much. I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun. I'm out of breath for all the walking, but Alex, I'll catch my breath.
No, thank you for the great presentation. That was awesome. That was really good. So I think that's pretty much it. This concludes our meeting for today, unless anybody has anything for the good of the cause.
I do.
Yes.
Next month is Alvin Community College. Yes, Stacy?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And we'll do Zoom again, I'm assuming, which is fine with me. Yes? Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Brian, I know that the PEDC's been working on workforce development. I've seen a lot of ads in the Houston Business Journal. You want to talk about your workforce program that y'all are, the board approved?
I would say it's really it's more of a marketing program right now, Carol. We're just doing some image creation and just promoting Pearland for workforce retention type issues. Uh, we're just really just getting started in doing that. So we do have in our strategic plan of work some more workforce issues that we'll be looking at, but we're still in the planning stages of those and still have to figure those out. So
Okay. Well, the ads have been very impressive, so
good.
congratulations.
That's Melissa's doing.
So we have a program for June 17th. Any takers for July 15th? If not, I will press on to find something. I hear crickets. That's all I have.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else for the good of the cause, I wish everybody a happy Memorial Day
Let me
weekend.
ask y'all something. Maybe for July, maybe we could have a little business owner forum or something about explaining how they've reopened, what challenges they had with employees, and maybe you could have some free questions you could ask them, and maybe we could get some insight about how everybody's trying to come out of being isolated and how that looks like in the workforce or small business and things like that.
I can reach out to some of our target industries and see if they would be willing to have a panel. That would be good. I know that Mitsubishi, and Paul, of course, has always given us a great report about Third Coast, but there's some others that have stories to tell as well. So I can work on that.
Carol, I have an idea, and Alex, what about a joint presentation between an organization and one of the colleges, or so to kind of highlight how business and academia can work together. And I can research a little bit of that, but more if any of you out there have some really good ideas or examples of how you're working together with business or businesses working together with academia, I think that'd be.
We could actually do one. We have a partnership with a Greco that's here in Pearland. So we could probably do something along the lines of that to kind of show that partnership, if that would be of interest.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think that's one good example. I think
Yeah.
Adding some context to it, because that's really ultimately what we want to do is help, businesses helping academia and academia helping the businesses. So it's a collaborative effort.
Brian, the nursing school that HCA is doing, are they using a local university or college for that?
No, that's all internal that they'll be utilizing. We have been working with them on looking at doing some workforce grants and workforce program stuff through TWC and the local workforce board, but they have not come back to us on that to say what they're specifically going to do. But everything that we know, it's all in internal instructors right now that we know of.
Okay. Thank you for those ideas. Those are great ideas to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy, do you guys have a certain industry in Pearland that you partner with?
Need to unmute. I'm primarily over the healthcare, allied health components. So the hospitals, we obviously with our clinicals and things. I'll have to talk to Jeff Parks. He's the dean that's over the industrial and business component. So I'll see if he has some names that he can throw out there for us as well.
Okay, so then when you do your tour, I could at least reach out to see if they could join us.
Okay.
The ones that you partner with already.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
I'm done.
All right. All right. I think that's it. So everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend.
And if you could stay on, and Ed. Bye.
Bye.
So tomorrow we are supposed to have um, a Chamber Connects with Houston Chronicle, and Sasha doesn't want to do it. He said they do the same thing he does, but I just want to see if you could be the moderator for it. I
Oh.
mean, I've already set it up.
What time tomorrow?
3 is what we set it up for.
Yeah, I can do that.
You want to do it earlier? Would it?
No,
earlier
the
be better?
three is really the only time I have. I've got a pretty full day tomorrow.
Okay.
Who with the Chronicle are we talking to?
It's their media department. Stephen Weiss and Hannah Markey.
Yeah, I think it's probably like this. You know, Chronicle came out and they were doing all those regional sessions, and I think Cheryl and Leslie were at one of them that they did, the Chronicle did, and I forgot who the speaker was. We actually had her come speak at our ABWA meeting. So I'm assuming it's kind of the same thing of what they can do publicity-wise.
Did you listen to the Zoom Shop Pearland?
No.
Okay, they spoke at that, and it was a very good program.
Okay.
And so I hate to cancel them because they are a member, but I didn't realize that the Houston Chronicle was a competitor of Sasha's, but he asked not to be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Like I said, 3 o'clock works for me. That's the only time really tomorrow that it does work. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got an obligation that doesn't end till, let's see, 1:30 Pacific time, so that's 3:30 here.
Okay, well, I'll see if Letty.
I would love to. I love the Chronicle. I love they do. I mean, it is a superior publication as far as I'm concerned compared to other municipality, big major metro areas. So.
Was the Shop Pearland meeting recorded so I could go listen to that?
I don't know. I doubt it. I'll ask Cheryl.
Okay. Or if there's minutes from it, if there's anything that.
I do have minutes. Anyway, yeah, I don't think it was recorded. But.
Okay, that's fine. Just so I kind of know what they talked about in that session, since I couldn't attend that one.
All right. Well, if you could be the moderator, we'll move on from there. Ed, it's fine that you're not there. I'll reach out to Letty or somebody else that.
Yeah, I'll join late if you don't mind sending. Well, I guess I just need to look on the Facebook for the time so I can just watch. I'd be interested in the content of it.
Okay. I'll make sure y'all get invitations.
Cheryl was working on, Senator Taylor, but they had to reschedule.
That was a disappointment. I don't know what his issue was, but I will reach out to Chief Spires.
Chief Spires. Yeah, if we can talk with Johnny Spires, because I think it'd be good to communicate our law enforcement's, challenges that they've got, and just kind of guidance for business. This is how you, because it's getting confrontational between people's perspective as what they should do and what businesses are trying to do, and how does law enforcement, they're probably getting a lot of calls that they just don't have time for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll get back with y'all by email if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Great program.
Bye.